Okay, hello, and as the music fades out, this is the Geek Battle Show here on the Extreme Improv Extremes YouTube channel as well as on the Geek Battle YouTube channel. Head over to www.youtube.com/at Geek Battle, smash that subscribe button. It is Wednesday, it's time to get freaky, it's time to get geeky. We're going to have this interesting blend of podcast, game show, improv, and all out geek war. Now, we're going to find out who is this week's Geek of the Week. And on the show tonight, we have just about at the bottom of the screen, Capel Fave. Say hello to the people.
Hailing from the land of leopards, elephants, and headless horsemen, it's me, Capital Dave, and I'm from Sri Lanka.
Okay, now, this is our introductions round. And as I always say, in the quest for a bonus point, do you have an interesting geek trivia fact which you can share with our audience?
Okay. So we all know that Rise of the Planet of the Apes is kind of like science fiction because it can very well be true. Chimps can evolve. They can pretty much, take
It's
over the
kind
world.
of like science fiction.
I mean, science fiction technically means that it's science, but can happen in the future or something like that. So, I mean, just go with me on this. I'm just making this stuff as I go along.
I'm just gonna hang my head in shame, Gab.
Okay, so Rise of the Planet of the Apes, we assume the chimps can evolve and take over the world, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think the crows will probably take over the world before chimps do, because crows know how to use tools in all kinds of ways, and they can communicate well, and they can actually replicate human sounds as well. But get this, crows would actually befriend wolf puppies when they were puppies, technically, play with them with sticks and everything like that, and familiarize themselves with that. And the wolves, when they grow up and become adults, and when they make kills, they will allow the crows to scavenge off whatever the meat they kill. So they build an early investment, and they, follow it until adulthood and feed off the meat. So just change the title to Rise of the Planet of the Crows.
Yeah. Okay, that's an interesting thought you've got there. Now, coincidentally, I actually watched Rise of the Planet of the Apes this last week.
Wow.
I'm going to give you guys a thought on it, and then we'll continue the introductions, because why not? Because otherwise we'll move past this. Okay, so in the Rise of the Planet of the Apes, there is like a scene, and I need to watch the sequels again, where it says like a newspaper headline, and it's like "Lost in Space," which is clearly Charlton Heston. About like how he would then like return in that. But then like Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and War for the Planet of the Apes like just didn't have Charlton Heston. So did they just not bother to follow that up? Or his character? They didn't go that far in the reboot.
Maybe the next set of films is coming afterwards, where like finally he comes back and like, what the hell happened?
Are the next films like there is a new one in the works? Is it a continuation of this series?
I have no idea, but I think they should continue it because, like, so far they are only on the starting phase of the whole ape takeover. When you think about it, the chimps have not actually started kingdoms and stuff like that. They're just there and can talk and do stuff like that. So maybe they evolve into the future, and then Charles Heston comes back and goes, "What the heck happened?"
Okay, yeah, fair play. I will just look up to see the status of that sequel since it's on all of our minds, but we will continue with the introductions. Gerald, say hello to the people. If you have a random geek trivia fact, let us know.
Hello, everybody. I want to tag on to what Cap said, but it's not my geek fact. There's a gentleman by the name of John Martzliff, who's basically, I guess, like the preeminent crow researcher, if you will. He's out of the University of Washington, and he's written several books, but one of the studies he did was he had a graduate student go ahead and basically harass crows because they were doing it on the campus, and those crows recognized him and taught their babies and other crows to dislike and hate that person. So every time the crows would see it, they would like dive bomb him and yell at him and squawk and all kinds of stuff. So they are extremely intelligent. So I'll go with Cap on that. My geek fact, which I asked Bard to help me with, so that's the Google AI thing, was the word robot comes from the Czech word robota, which means forced labor.
Ah.
So there we go.
That is an interesting geek trivia fact. That is definitely worth.
Fetch my tea, ChatGPT.
Right. Okay. Nick, say hello to the people. Give us a random geek trivia fact.
All right, so hello guys. I have 2 geek facts, both about Back to the Future. In
Back to the Future?
Yes, Back to the
Bonus
Future.
point from David already.
Yes. So one, in Back to the Future Part 1, when Doc and Marty run into the mall and they're escaping the mall, they run into a pine tree. At the very beginning of the when they're padding over the name of the mall, and it says Twin Pines Mall. When they go back to the future to the present, after they run to the pine tree, the mall is renamed to Lone Pine Mall. The other one that I love is that the person who they go into the farms with in Back to the Future again, when Marty steals the DeLorean in 1955 and crashes into a farm, he runs into Mr. Peabody's farm, and Mr. Peabody has a dog named Mr. Sherman. For those of us familiar with the comics, there's the Peabody and Mr. Sherman cartoon or comic strip, and I just thought that was really cool. Also, I know that David here loves Back to the Future more than he probably should.
What? I love it like a man would love a woman on a cold winter's night. No, definitely a bonus point there. But have I frozen? Oh, look at that, I've frozen. Lost connection with the camera. I'll continue. Like, this is the second time it's done it tonight. I'll see if I can sort out my camera. What I can say is, as I've said before, so I won't labor this because like my camera's not even here, is that with Back to the Future, it's established in part 2 that you have like tangent alternate timelines. So like Marty never got home, so it was just a different place, just had one tree in that mall, is all I'm saying. Right, anyway, Gerald, you're going to say.
Yeah, only because Nick brought up Back to the Future and I saw this, and I'm probably going to misquote it, but somebody was sharing something that says that today is as far back as Back to the Future was, as Back to the Future was to World War II.
Wow. Oh, look, I'm here, green screen. But yes, Back to the Future, that is so weird, isn't it?
It doesn't even seem possible, but
yeah. It's weird when you think about like how old, like 1955 and everything feels, and so what was it that they'd be like if Marty went back now, he'd be in like 1993 or something
like that. Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah.
Also, I went to a movie theater that was doing on October 15th, 2015. They were doing a big Back to the Future party, and then after the end of Back to the Future Part 3, they had a guy drive up in a DeLorean dressed up as Doc, open the car and say, "Great Scott, I'm in Harrisonburg, Virginia," and just get back in the car and drive away.
Nice.
Kind of brilliant.
Okay, wow, cool stuff. Okay, so guys, let's move on to a bit more discussion-y kind of topics and that. Is there anything you guys have seen that you want to react to? Anything fun, like new trailers, new movies, TV shows, comics, games? What have we got? Gerald.
So One Piece is now, the live action one on Netflix is now available. I think it came out last Wednesday at midnight or something like that. I've only watched the first episode, but it's really good. And I have not connected yet with a friend of mine who's like an insane One Piece fan, but from what I've seen of the anime and from the manga, it aligns fairly closely, at least for the first book. So yeah, I would say check it out. It's really good.
Do you know how many episodes it is?
8 episodes, and I guess it sort of ends in a weird spot that the director even said that they wish they were able to finish the next part, but because of funding and stuff, they weren't able to. So hopefully it'll continue on. It has been doing fairly well on Netflix so far.
So is it stopped because like literally you got funding, or is it because of like the writers and actors strike?
I believe it was all completed and ready before that, but I don't know for sure. So it sounded, the little article I read about it seemed to indicate that, Netflix gave them a budget of X dollars, and once X dollars was up, that was the number of episodes they ended up with.
Wow. Okay. Any of you other guys seen that show or planning to?
I was not a fan of the One Piece anime, even though people will kill me for that. The problem is that it's like Naruto is like too freaking long and it's still going. There's actually a Tom and Jerry meme where old Tom is reading the paper and then he hears the word One Piece and he goes, "The war is still going." So
wait, they're making One Piece like topical references in Tom and Jerry.
And it's a meme. No, Tom and Jerry is a meme, actually.
Oh, thank God. I was going to say, what has happened to Tom and Jerry? But they're like doing Family Guy shtick, where it's just like, oh, what's on the television, Jerry? Right.
I mean, there is actually a picture of Tom in the old cartoons where it's actually reading the paper and realizing something. So they just used that image for this meme. But what I'm trying to say is that it's too freaking long and it's still continuing. I do like shows. I mean, like, I would certainly love a few shows that would have continued. But the thing is, like, it's too long now. I can't get into it anymore. Okay, it's just too freaking long.
It's only like 1,000 or 1,100 episodes.
That's insane.
So can I get the Cliff Notes on One Piece? I have actually never seen it.
Well, let's ask ChatGPT to do it. In fact, so bear with me. Let's do this. So, Cap, you go for it, and then let's see if ChatGPT agrees with what you come up with, if you're able to.
Okay. About what?
I don't know.
What is One Piece?
What is One Piece?
It's about a bunch of pirates in search of a MacGuffin, which is like the ultimate treasure or something. And there's like weird pirates, like fantasy pirates, but then there's also like technology pirates and pirates wearing suits and stuff like that. It's wacky. It's one of the most absurdist animes, even though animes is absurdist anyways, but I would say it's one of the most absurdist animes of all time, probably.
There's a clown pirate.
But this also bothers me because the same thing with Naruto is like they're all ninjas, but they have like cosmic powers and shit. Like, no, that's not a ninja, okay? Ninjas are people who can't fight straight arm, okay? That's why they're not samurais.
Yeah. Okay. We'll chat. Oh, here comes Tim. ChatGPT. Good. This will provide just enough like diversion whilst I sort out so many technical issues today. It's insane. Hello, Tim. Say hello to the people.
Hi, the people. How are you doing? Thanks for having me today, David. Sorry if I interrupted.
No, you came just at the right time. Just as like I'm trying to solve like technical issues. Tell us things, Tim. What's going on in the world?
Well, Ahsoka. Has anyone seen episode 4?
No,
I've not actually.
But
tell us your thoughts. I literally don't mind the spoilers.
So all I have to say is, I remember maybe a year or two ago, Eckhart's Ladder talking about having some good 3D renderings and models of spaceships done by like some of the YouTube creators, independent projects, but they look almost like the real life models that were used in the original trilogy, like episodes 4 through 6. And I'm telling you, I think the Ahsoka series has some of the best 3D renderings I've seen of spaceships and fleets in a while. It's kind of nice. Like, looking forward to hearing what your reactions are once, or if you guys can see that.
Yeah, no, I am planning to get onto it as soon as I have the chance and everything. Just catching up with stuff. Stuff's like I almost feel pleased for like the writers and actors strike, just because I'm like way behind on stuff. So it just means that they can't keep putting out new stuff for a while. Cap, you were going to say?
Well, it probably have the best spaceships. I haven't actually noticed that, but I should. I think you pay.
Cap, you're really quite quiet. I'm struggling to hear you a tiny bit.
How about now?
Exactly the same, but at least we can see you. Right.
So you can't hear me at all?
Yeah, no, I can, but it's a bit quiet. Like when Tim came in, I had to turn like my speaker down, and now I can't hear you. So like we have a discrepancy.
How about
Still exactly the same. Don't worry, we'll cope.
I can
Go for
hear
it, Cap.
Cap pretty well.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can.
I can hear Cap pretty
Okay.
well.
Then Tim, you're too loud. So it's the balance. Don't worry. We'll get there.
So my problem with the Ahsoka series is, I mean, like new Star Wars in general, lightsabers don't work now. Okay, you stab and you just like, it's just a flesh wound. It's like the same as Spock saying that I got shot, but no, it's okay, it's just a flesh wound. Yeah, everything's a flesh wound. You got shot in the abdomen, you die. You got stabbed with a lightsaber, you die. Okay, why are you all like, it's probably nothing. I'll just get back to it the next day. I don't like this.
Especially when you go back to A New Hope and Obi-Wan gets barely touched by it and he's vanished. So
Yeah. And Qui-Gon Jinn gets stabbed, and he's like, "Oh, Dunskies." But every other time somebody gets stabbed, it's like, "Here's some Bacta. You'll be fine in a couple days."
Have you seen the meme, Tim, where all the new people who get stabbed by lightsaber and they come back, and then Qui-Gon Jinn has the sigh meme looking at everyone as a Force ghost, like you all came back, huh?
I didn't see that one, but those are kind of funny when like you have those like sort of reflective back and forth between Jedi Master and Jedi Knight.
Yeah.
But this is I think every fan had the problem when they brought back Darth Maul, I think, because that's the start of the thing where it's okay, it's just a flesh wound.
At least they have not brought Jar Jar Binks back.
They will. They will at some point.
Darth Jar Jar.
Yeah.
You know, I subscribe to that theory. I really do. And I have the reasons why they never actually implemented it. I believe that the Darth Jar Jar... Are we going to talk about this?
Yeah, go for it.
So the Darth Jar Jar theory states that Jar Jar was actually a Jedi, a Sith Lord of like the nth degree or whatever. And then he was so universally hated that George Lucas was like, no, I'm not going to make him the villain of my original trilogy. He's hated, which is why he becomes a galactic senator or whatever bullshit they do to get rid of him. But I would have liked to have seen the cut of like Jar Jar actually being like a badass, like a legit, like a Sith, or not necessarily like a Jedi, but like something sort of akin, but not necessarily a Jedi.
They tried to do that in the Clone Wars series in a couple of episodes, but again, the more they tried, the more they couldn't, make him likable. He has become one of those things like, get him out or we will hate the show.
I think they sort of like, if you think of it, drunken master style, where he's just like really drunk and goofy, but also slightly effective at what he does. Is if you remember, I remember seeing episode 1 recently, and Jar Jar Binks he had like a rope, like a B1 battle droid stuck to his ankle or something, and he kept moving, and the B1 battle droid just kept shooting other battle droids next to him. So I'm like, that maybe that is like, pretending to be the fool that everyone thinks he is, but he's actually the most intelligent one. And who knows, maybe he's in episode 10 and like, Mwahaha, Misa made Palpatine the baddie.
Yeah, it could be. There's
That
probably
is
like
exactly
a bunch of things where they could justify that. Well, because there's a couple of examples I can think of, like off the top of my head, where like someone is actually very capable, but they come across like they're not. And or like a couple of examples I'll give is like in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, when McGonagall is like dueling with Snape and he's just deflecting stuff. And as he deflects stuff, he like takes out 2 of his own guys. And it's like, well, he did that to get rid of them. Or like when you see like Superman, like in Superman 3, and he's just like, achoo, and like the bowling pins explode. And it's like, you seem like, oh, Gesundheit and that. But it's like, so you can make things seem like they were just, that just happened.
So you're telling me that there was a Superman before Henry Cavill?
Yeah. Christopher Reeves is the only Superman. Forget Henry Cavill.
And Brandon Routh.
And who?
Brandon Routh.
Ah, no, forget
It
that
was
loser.
fucking terrible.
Jesus, that film is so boring. Right? It's just like I don't mind it. It's just it is a really boring film.
It is a boring film, but it's one of the most films that I actually like for the technicality of the Superman story. Again, it lacked the big supervillain fights and actions and stuff like that, but it did actually show the human side of things, which I really like. One of the best quotes that I actually like from the film is that when he brings up Lois, because Lois wrote an article about why the world doesn't need Superman, and then Superman says, like, you wrote the world doesn't need a savior, but when I'm up here, all I hear is people asking for help. And that was really a beautiful moment where you can, identify with Superman's things, where you can like hear all the people like praying to anyone like to save them, and he's the only person who can hear that.
Yeah, like whilst that was a beautiful moment, like I kind of just wanted to see him like punch things and like fight giant mechanical spiders.
Well, David, he still wears his underpants outside.
That is a plus point. That is a plus point.
So
Yeah,
are you talking about Superman or Quail Man?
Quail Man.
Doug,
Yes. Thank you, Gerald.
Oh, you've lost me on this one.
Nickelodeon cartoon.
Yeah, okay, I don't know it. Joe?
So you mentioned Harry Potter, and I just heard this. And you guys that are Harry Potter people probably already know this, but supposedly the scar on Harry's head is not a lightning bolt, but it is the shape of the hand movement used to cast the killing curse.
Yes, I can see that.
Ah, that's quite good. Yeah.
So every time in the movie, Voldemort is just drawing an N while he's just, doing the curse.
It's more like a lightning bolt. As somebody whose name starts with the letter N, I'm highly insulted by that type of thing.
Nick! My signature move.
Yeah, that's cool. No, like lightning bolt for the letter. That I've never considered that before. Okay. Yeah. No. What were you saying? Harry Potter, Killing Curse. I literally just watched this film where he was. Okay. Like, help me on this one because I just watched Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2 in the last week. Perhaps I've just like forgotten or misunderstood. So he like Avada Kedavra like this and kills Harry. Like, why doesn't Harry die?
The love power?
No, because like this is like when they have a face to face. Why doesn't Harry die at that stage?
Well, in that sense, I think the thing they were saying is that because Harry Potter was a Horcrux, like the other stuff,
the Horcrux.
that the only one who can destroy it is probably, Lord Voldemort. He had to destroy him, part of himself, to actually die. But they never explained actually why Harry survived that. So maybe it's like, there's two people inside Harry Potter, Voldemort's thing and himself, and when Voldemort struck it, Voldemort died.
And also, like, this Avada Kedavra is so kind of like, is it difficult to pull off? All you need to do is say the words and it happens, right? Yeah. So, like, when you see like Lucius Malfoy and his missus, and like they're so worried, like, oh, little Draco and all that, and when he's like goes to Snape, like, Snape, I'm gonna have to kill you now. Why didn't he just go, oh, Avada Kedavra, and just like take him out? It's like done. Yeah, like Snape had ample access to Voldemort.
Yeah, but he couldn't die because at that time they haven't killed all the Horcruxes yet. So
okay,
yeah. The ChatGPT says the Elder Wand also, because Harry defeated Draco, and that means that it had the allegiance to Harry, which means that it would not work against Harry even if Voldemort used it. And then it also talked about the Horcruxes.
So how did if Harry defeated Draco, which he did, how did Voldemort end up with it? So I forget.
So in the Half-Blood Prince thing, when Malfoy was about to actually kill Albus Dumbledore, Albus Dumbledore is the one who was holding the Elder Wand.
I get that.
Yeah, and Draco Malfoy disarmed Albus Dumbledore at that place. Because he did that, now the wand belonged to Draco. And then afterwards, in a different fight scene, Harry disarmed Draco. So
but
that means
Draco didn't have that wand.
No, it just means that you're outbested them by, flicking.
Oh, okay. So even if you don't have it in your possession,
to that.
Wait, hang on. This doesn't make any sense to me. Let me just tell you why. Right. So, because I've just cracked this whole thing open. If Draco didn't need to have the Elder Wand in his hand, and yet Harry could like defeat him, there was an earlier movie where Hermione was just like punch like that. She was the one that had control of Draco's wand.
No, I mean like you have to disarm the person. It's like a gun. It's like a gun.
Yeah, but he
thing or a
didn't
sword
he
thing.
didn't disarm that gun.
Yeah, but he disarmed a different gun. It's like, I can do that
Like,
to the other
no,
one
Captain
too.
Faith, right? If I disarmed your tripod, which you frequently have, it wouldn't mean I'm in charge of your tiger.
True.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Well, take it up with J.K. Rowling. She made up the rules.
And she
No
broke them
rules.
several times in her own books.
Yeah. Well, like like Quidditch, that never makes sense to me. It's like you just need the snitch. Nothing else actually matters.
Actually, in the first thing they say, like the snitch worth some points. They do mention the snitch.
Yeah, it's like 150 points.
Yeah, what if the other team scores a lot more?
Well, but they never do.
That means you're really bad then.
Yeah, like how much? Okay, I'm going to look up once again. Let's go to ChatGPT. The scoring of Quidditch.
Yeah.
How does
if you want to get your
scoring-
mind blown, explain to me wizard money, because that shit is farts. Sorry.
What? Okay, so what is the currency they have?
I
They
mean,
use
It was just
sickles, canuts, and something else.
Okay, right. So bear with, guys, because I've got a couple of updates here. First of all, I asked it about One Piece. In 50 words, describe the story. And it says One Piece is an epic adventure manga stroke anime series. It follows Monkey D. Luffy, who gains rubber-like powers as he performs the Straw Hat. Oh, sorry, not performs. As he forms the Straw Hat Pirates. Together, they sail the Grand Line, seeking the legendary treasure One Piece. Along the way, they face powerful foes, uncover secrets, and aspire to become Pirate King. So there you go. Now we know what One Piece is. But it says here, how does the scoring in Quidditch work? A quaffle. So chasers score by throwing a red quaffle through one of the 3 opponent hoops, and they get 10 points. So they need to do that 15 times at least to make the golden snitch null and void. Bludger hits. Beaters use bludgers to knock opponents off their brooms. While not direct scoring, this disrupts. So you only score with quaffles or the snitch.
Yep.
Wow. So
And then I guess that snitch is key because you wouldn't catch it because it says when you catch the snitch, it ends and it's worth 150 points. So you would never catch it if you were behind more than 150 points.
Yeah.
Because then you would automatically lose.
Exactly. I wonder what the longest game of Quidditch ever is. Oh, we've just lost him.
But get this, Harry Potter's a kid with glasses. How is he the one who's always spotting the snitch before everyone else?
I've got glasses now. What are you saying? Gerald's wearing glasses.
I'm not saying that glasses are a bad thing, but I'm saying, you don't see, Major League Baseball players, wearing glasses when they're playing, baseball, but Harry's still wearing them.
They're wizards.
There are Major League Baseball players that wear glasses. There's not a lot, but there are some.
Really?
Yeah. Pitchers. Pitchers, and then you'll see people in the outfields too.
I've never actually seen a baseball match. I've only seen cricket.
Oh,
yep. Most cricket players, I don't see them wearing glasses. They wear sunglasses sometimes.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's not a ton, but there are, and there have been.
But and also, it doesn't matter because Oculus Reparo. Hermione spelt it out in the first movie.
Yeah, but that's for the glasses, not for your eye.
No, I know, but if you break the glasses, you can just fix them.
That's true.
Well, wouldn't you just fix your eyes?
Yeah, why can't they just these wizards? They can do certain things, but other things don't make any sense.
So, because you asked, David, the longest game of Quidditch on record was played between the Wimborne Wasps and the Kinmarie Kestrels on July 14th, 1892. It lasted for about 3 months. Then It says, in the real world, there are no official games that lasted for 3 months. However, there are some unofficial Quidditch games that lasted for several days. 2016, a Quidditch game in the U.S. lasted for 27 hours. So there you go.
That's insane.
So do they just have a snitch as a drone just flying around when they just have
Yeah.
I
you-
saw the movie The Interns where the Google applicants are playing like Quidditch, and then there was
Yeah.
just one guy who has a snitch tail up his butt. He's just running around here to catch him. Again, I would say, I mean, even among fantasy, I would say I would put Harry Potter in a different sort of nerddom. It's just very different.
Wait, different to what?
I mean, like, if you think about Lord of the Rings, like, imagine, like, if they have a game, it would probably something like, you know, like night games, like Lancing and stuff like that. But only in Harry Potter, you go, well, you need to catch the snitch.
Yeah. Well, coincidentally, last night I actually saw a stage musical of Lord of the Rings, and like it was well done. I can get into the weeds of it or not, but the opening of the show and the ending of the show was like open air theater, and then like after Bilbo's birthday party, then it moved into a theater and you watch it like a regular show.
Wow.
And then it was cool. It's a new version. There was a version like in the West End, which is like Broadway, and it was so elaborate, but it didn't make money. They had to close it quite quickly because you've got like the Ents were like people on like 15-foot tall stilts and stuff like this. And this version I saw last night, the Ents were just a voiceover. They couldn't achieve something like that. It was a much smaller theatre. But what I was going to say is, the beginning of the show, they were interacting with the audience, and because I'm there and I'm an actor, I was like, I'm definitely going to end up on stage, and I did. And so they were like doing like festivities. They've got like what they call Splat the Rat, and they've got like hoop, like ring toss and stuff like this. So I was up on stage doing ring toss and that. I got the first round of applause of the show. But just to answer the question, like in Lord of the Rings, they do like ring toss. Confirmed last night. So it's not quite as elaborate as Quidditch.
Well, I mean, they should technically be doing, Lancing stuff. At least the humans would be doing that, I assume. Like Aragon's team. I mean, elves would probably have archery tournaments and stuff like that. They won't be playing Quidditch. That's all I'm trying to say. It's a stupid game.
Okay, so guys, at this note, has anyone seen anything else that they want to react to or whatever, Cap?
It's not a new one, but I went back and saw the old Green Lantern cartoon series, which is pretty much probably. Sorry?
I remember really liking it last time I saw it.
Yeah, that is probably the best Green Lantern out of comic stuff they have right now, I would say. There's also a couple of 2 movies, 2D as well, which were pretty good, which I also enjoyed. But I think this one, the animations, it's like early 3D, so it's not really that great. But the plot-wise and writing-wise was really good. And I could never figure out why, like, Green Lantern as a superhero never actually became a huge household thing. Because I always assumed it would. Because I always liked their oath, brightest day and blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Those who worship evil's might, beware my power, Green Lantern's light. I always get like a good gut feeling when they say that. And there's like other lanterns. They also have like different oaths, poetry. Really liked it. I never knew how Green Lantern never made it.
I think it's just a bit complicated. Like, you have a lantern, you have a magic ring, the lantern charges the ring, you can then make weird shapes and things, and you have different lanterns. So it's not just one Green Lantern. There's several. I think it's complicated.
I would say okay, maybe it is. Maybe it is complicated, but I think complications done well is always good. And I always find that because like the best thing about Green Lanterns is that like you're only be chosen if you're a Green Lantern, you're only chosen because you have tremendous will. And also the ring is one of the most powerful weapons, but all Green Lanterns have them, but the ring is only as strong as the wielder, which I thought was a pretty good. It's not like the Force where you like certain people are the only one who can have it, the midichlorians and stuff like that. No, even in Green Lanterns, the people who have the greatest will harness the most power out of it, which I always thought was really neat and complicated too, but it was neat.
Well, I really like the old 1980s, I think it was Superpowers, DC Superpowers cartoon show. And Green Lantern, I think, was one of my favorites at the time. I mean, Batman's sort of always held the spot, and then Superman was also pretty big. They had some other characters. They had Aquaman in there, but he just wasn't, as much, and some others. But yeah, I don't know why. And they've had a couple really good stories over the past 20 years that would, I think, make excellent movies. I think Blackest Night was a very good arc, and that's where you have a lot more of the Green Lanterns than they had before. Before it used to be basically Sinestro was like the bad Green Lantern, and then there was Hal Jordan as like the good Green Lantern, and then others. But yeah, I don't know why they haven't really explored that.
But
Yeah,
go
on.
Yeah, go ahead. No,
No, you go, Pat.
It would be because of the. Sorry.
No, you go, Nick. Someone go.
It would
Because
be
the
because
Ryan
of the
Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds terrible movie
Yeah.
that it was like, yeah, about that. No.
I get it, but like there has been other superhero bad movies and they work for some reason. Sometimes they don't, but they just reboot it. I mean, like Green Lantern's even if you lost Hal Jordan to Ryan Reynolds, unfortunately, you still have Jon Stewart. That was the thing that people were actually mostly looking forward to. I would say in the Green Lantern thing. I didn't even know Hal Jordan because like the JLA cartoon was mostly Jon Stewart. But then I realized Hal Jordan. I like Hal Jordan actually.
Well,
I
but then
want to
there's
see a good Hal Jordan Green Lantern. Actually.
Yeah, I think a lot of it goes back to though.
Night, guys.
Say it again.
Guys, are we with us? I think there was a little glitch.
I'm here.
Oh, okay. I think part of it goes back to DC just hasn't done a very good job of framing and sort of marketing their characters. I mean, it's hard to screw up Batman and Superman. Like you have to really try to do those two, whereas the other ones just aren't as big of characters. I mean, they, Flash, you would think that they could do a decent job, but they showed they fell flat on their face with that one. Wonder Woman, I thought was the two movies were decent, but again, like those are sort of their big three: Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. And then outside of that, I mean, there's a ton of awesome characters they have, but they just have not marketed them well at all.
Booster Gold.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is my thing. Like some of them have like Aquaman worked. I don't know how. I don't know why. Okay, I get it's Jason Momoa, but still, I couldn't find the reason. Like Aquaman is kind of like we all made fun of him as well, so he kind of wrote into memedom, so he's relevant. I still can't explain. Like even with hardcore comics fans, right, who like to see movies and stuff like that. Why weren't there's like a petition for a Green Lantern movie? Like even Deadpool was not happening for a while, but people were petitioning and stuff like that. Even so, this is a good fact as any, as that when they actually wrote the script, Fox turned it down and they released it online, and then people liked it and they're like pitching for it. Then they actually made the movie. Why doesn't that happen to Green Lantern?
Well,
oh, good.
Okay, we'll come to Tim in just 1 second because he's patiently had his hand up. But go on, Gerald, and then Tim.
Oh, I was just going to say real quick is I think the reason why Deadpool was successful is because you had Ryan Reynolds pushing for it. I mean, they could have flopped just like they did when he had it, where he had his mouth like covered over in the Wolverine movie or whatever. But he was an advocate for it. He had definitely juice within Hollywood, so he was able to sort of push it. And I don't. So far there's nobody that's come forth for Green Lantern or anybody like that.
Yeah. Okay, we'll pick this up, but Tim?
Well, I think Aquaman worked because they had fans or people that dedicated to its movie rendition of a comic book. It was a lot more colorful than the other DCEU movies. It wasn't grayscaled as much. When Aquaman was in like that Italian village, there's like, oh wait, there's sunshine in this cinematic universe, and you have that little moment where they're having a bad guy fight, and Aquaman and oh my god, I forget the other character, but they're like trying to evacuate civilians while they're fighting, which is like that's the whole point of a good superhero, is like trying to manage to mitigate the collateral damage, and also, it's through making big but small decisions in a way that mitigate collateral damage in terms of like instigating a war between a king and their kingdom,
But it's one of those weird things. Like I know that Aquaman's fan again. I wouldn't really call Aquaman fan base as a more devoted fans either, because they're more like making fun of Aquaman more than being like the inspirational hero. But again, that movie worked, which I didn't think was really that good of a movie. I thought it was an okay movie. That's why I said like when Shazam 2 came out, everyone said, "Oh, it's a very mediocre superhero film." Duh! Aquaman was 2. Shazam 1 was even more mediocre, but it did well for some reason.
Okay, here's my thought on like what DC should do. I brought up a list of like the top 20 DC superheroes, and Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern, Aquaman. How come like the Justice League never had a Green Arrow? Like, and well, let me just before anyone else picks up on this, right? The evidence of like maybe it was just because there was the TV show, but after Smallville started to create their Justice League within it, where there was a Green Arrow who was like I think the first one, like before Superman, because obviously it was Smallville, before Superman became Superman, Green Arrow was already doing Green Arrow stuff. And then by the end of Smallville, they had got their version of a Justice League, obviously without Batman and Wonder Woman and stuff like that. But they've got some of the more minor characters. And when that ended, they didn't oh, we can't do Superman straight away. They did Arrow. And like, why haven't Arrow's been off the air for a while now? Why haven't they announced an Arrow film? Like, or a Green Arrow or whatever? Yeah, go on, Cap.
I'm not sure about why they haven't done a film yet, but as a character, I would say in the cartoon series, he was a very minor but a very critical had a role in a sense. Like he was never going want to be a Justice League member, but then Batman tried to make him because like we need guys like you and me because we're the ones who can remind like these gods. We are the only two humans can make them honest. And Green Arrow does even pick a fight with Superman and stuff like that. And I know in the comics like has like a very vital role in most of Justice League stuff. But again, as again, this is the same thing I would say to the Hawkeye, but I don't know how Hawkeye worked as well. A guy with arrows. I mean, we already have a guy who's throwing batarang at people. We just don't need that again.
No. So obviously, look, one of the problems is that we've already got Hawkeye, who is an archer. But like, let's talk back about Lord of the Rings. You have Legolas. Like, if they had announced like 10 years ago they're just going to do a Legolas spin-offs, people would have been excited. And that's the potential, all the cool stuff that you can do with Green Arrow.
Actually, hold on. I'm going to disagree with you. I think that the Lord of the Rings nerds would have been really upset with a Legolas spin-off because there's no source material of Legolas being like, other than him crafting arrows, which is one of his main things in the books, there's no other like character arc of Legolas being by himself.
Yeah, but okay, so 2 points on that. First of all, they added Legolas into The Hobbit, which I think was
just popular.
I don't think people hated that. Like, obviously he wasn't there, but they said, well, there's no reason he wasn't there. And it added like a familiar character and everything. And also the Rings of Power, like literally is so not based on anything that you can just kind of do anything nowadays.
That's true.
But no, I do take your point. Pure, like Christopher Tolkien hated the movies for any and every change that was made, and also that they weren't getting like DVD sale money because J.R. Tolkien couldn't predict that there would be DVDs in the 60s. Cap.
Two things. Okay, first I'll address the Legolas situation. Again, I think Legolas worked because of the medieval aspect, and he was also an elf, and it was a supernatural character. Green Arrow is like I would say even he's even a little less than Hawkeye when it comes to archmanship, I would say. So again, there's always the meme where they say to Legolas, like if Legolas had a sniper rifle, Lord of the Rings would have been over most minutes. So the Green Arrow can actually pick up a sniper rifle, even if he doesn't want to kill. He can shoot rubber bullets, which sometimes Deadshot would use. I mean, like Deadshot would have been even much more an effective guy than Green Arrow. think about it. He can basically do the same thing, but because he has like better tools, he can do them in a much more efficient way.
But the
Winston
difference is
Totally-
Deadshot is a villain.
yeah, but like what I'm trying to say is that how can a guy with guns who has the same power compete? I mean, like he can compete, but how is the guy with arrows can compete with the guy like Deadshot? Like oh my arrows before he can even load the quiver, Deadshot like bang, dead, character's done. And
No, I
mean,
do
like,
agree.
I would
He
give you this.
basically
I would
can't.
give you this. I would give you this statement when Superman was about to stab Doomsday with the kryptonite spear, which is the stupidest movie decisions you can ever make. Green Arrow could have been like, you know what, dude, you don't just calm him down. I'll just throw it from here. I have good accuracy. that would have been that
No, no. I'm going to correct you there, Cap. The stupidest movie mistake ever made was the Martha scene at the end of Batman versus Superman.
The biggest
I
one-
have to say Martha.
I mean, I can understand the case for it, Nick. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, okay, yeah, Batman's obviously depressed about his parents. He can go, oh, mommy. I can understand the character's intentions there. But stupid Superman being stupid man, thinking, you know what, you are my word, Lois, I gotta die. And she's like, you know what, you can just give the spear to Wonder Woman or, Batman, he's basically doing nothing. No, I have to die. Are you that suicidal? Like, yes, I can't take any more of these movies. I'm just gonna stab and end this whole Superman shebang.
Is there a way they could have made that make sense? Like, it's a clever idea. Like Zack Snyder or whoever wrote it was like, well, Batman's mother is called Martha, Superman's mother is called Martha. They've got this in common. Okay, if that was put in front of you guys, like 1 minute pitch, you've got 1 minute. What are you pitching? That, oh, there's a cool way that we've got a connection between these characters. What can you do to use it that isn't just a throwaway line? Because you think if Batman was about to kill Superman, Superman wants to save his mother who's about to get killed by Lex Luthor's goons. If he was like, save mommy, they'd be like, I don't know who your mommy is, right? So if it's a case of like, he's got to say, save someone, save Martha, and then he kills him. Martha who? Right? So, what's the pitch? Go on, Cap. Pitch it to us.
I would say, like, just have scenes with Bruce Wayne and his mom, and, like, when Martha's, like, giving advice about why you shouldn't, like, turn into a bad person, like, why you should always believe that there's a chance to be good or something like that. Something, emotional, hogwashy thing happening, whereas, like, Batman's basically going psycho with Superman, where he's like, you need to die. You're not a good person. I mean, you can have an emotional connection, whereas mom is like telling Batman to remember his own humanity, where the Batman where he's not killing and stuff like that, and the reason why he even became Batman, and he can have an emotional connection to that. Just have scenes with Bruce and Martha in it that has an emotional impact on him. That when he hears the name, he just remembers why this isn't him. Batman killing Superman is not what Batman is.
Yeah.
Although, if we're going back to the first Batman comic book ever, and Gerald knows where I'm going, he actually walks around with a gun and shoots the Joker in the head in the first comic book ever.
Wait, Batman shot the Joker in the head?
I don't think it was the Joker, but he did carry around a gun and did shoot and kill people.
That was Snyder's excuse as well. He was like, man, in the first comics, Batman killed. Yeah, but that's not the Batman that was famous, dude. The Batman who was famous is the guy like, I'm not gonna kill people, okay? I mean, think about this, okay? Batman having that morality is much more higher than Superman having that morality.
Mm-hmm.
Superman can take anyone.
Well,
yeah, go, Joe.
Yeah, I was gonna say, especially you go to one of the most famous stories is the Killing Joke, which is pretty rough. But the thing is by the end of it, you don't know if he kills the Joker or not. It's left unsaid and unknown. So the reader can basically decide one or the other. But I mean, even at that point, the most extreme thing happens, and it's still that question of does he kill or does he not kill?
Which is the thing with Dark Knight, where it's like the whole shebang was the Joker is like trying to get him to kill him, trying to get him to break. But the whole ideal is like the ideal of humanity in itself. where it's like saying, no, the law and the system works, and that's why I'm not going to kill you. Superman has the luxury to be all good because like most of the things can kill him. That's why he can be all good all year round. But like Batman, he can actually get hurt when he's doing these things. So him choosing not to kill is much more important than Superman.
Yep, that's fair.
I think there's no. To be honest, I don't like this no lethal force rule with Batman, with the Doctor in Doctor Who, with any of these characters. I think setting that as a rule with the character is limiting. You should always be able to find the circumstance where it would happen. Like with Superman, everyone's like, he killed General Zod, he broke his neck. He's like, he killed General Zod with Christopher Reeve. He threw him into a bottomless pit, you know. So it's just like, yeah, it can happen, and Superman did it to save people. I think you can always find a justification for it.
But the problem with that scene, I would say, is like Superman has like a bunch of different ways he could have handled that situation. That was the main problem. Like, if you're going to make like the all good character kill, you have to put him in like a real jam corner where there's no other
Okay,
option.
what if it had been Lois stood there?
Yeah, that could have been, or Martha, his mom.
Martha! Yeah,
it's like, no, I'm not going to let you kill my mom again. I already lost a Krypton mom. I'm not losing my Earth mom. Bang, you died. And that would have been, I mean, like in the first thing when Zod was threatening Martha in Man of Steel, Superman just went berserk and started hitting Zod. So like, you threatened my mother. And he was throwing these haymakers, and like, that makes sense.
yeah. Oh, okay, before we continue on, Andy, say hello to the people.
What's up, people? I thought I was a few minutes early. I don't know what's going, but I thought I was on a few minutes before the setup time, but apparently I was wrong, or you guys started early, which I think it was the case, but it's all great joining you.
No, like we started late.
Well, I usually start at 3:00 Eastern time, and I came on at 2:57 that you allowed me on, and you guys were in the middle of your stuff. That's why.
Andy, I'm going to do you a favor. Forget about time zones.
It was 2 p.m. Eastern.
Yep.
No, I would say like forget.
Oh, it's within that way. Okay.
Andy, forget about time zones. Like if you want UK shows, just Google New York to UK time.
No, that's
pretty
what
much it.
Dude, was there a time zone change over there? Because
No.
So you guys were always part of. Yeah, you start at 8:00 your time, right?
No, 7.
What the? Have I done? Wow. Oh, that's right.
Multiverse.
Okay,
Extreme is on at 8:30.
Yes, that's right. Oh wow, yeah, I came really late. Oh yeah, so it's almost.
Don't worry, no, it's all good. Pleased to see you. But where were we? So like, yeah, like. I think it was fine for this version of Batman to be a killer because it had like moved him on. Like even like Alfred was saying about, remember the days when we were just dealing with wind up penguins and stuff like this. And it shows that there was like a different period for Batman. And now he's gone on something like we never got because of everything with Snyder has been mentioned, right? So we've said the key words, we've got Cavill, right? But we never found out like the story with like the with the like the Nightwing suit or whatever. We never found out like, and I always thought my theory was that like I thought this was all going to tie up so nicely. I thought that like the Robin suit there, and like ha he's dead or whatever was like on it. I thought that Jared Leto's Joker was Robin. And then when they made the Joker film, I was like, well, that's a 1980s Joker. We've got like a 1980s young boy Bruce Wayne, which could have been Ben Affleck. So that Joker created Jared Leto's Joker. It would have all tied in so nicely.
So one thing that they've specified that DC has said is that the Joker movie is not part of the actual Batman
canon.
Yep. It's kind of like a side
but like
story.
when they announced it, it could have been.
And they made it sound like that it was originally. They were saying it is, and it's also was part of Gotham. So a lot of people loved it. I thought it was very good, but I didn't like that he was playing the Joker of Batman. He could even been in Gotham because they are playing in Gotham. He could have just been like, listen, I like his style, so do it, because he didn't play the real Joker style. And I didn't mind his style, but he shouldn't have been the Joker. He should have been somebody that was enthusiastic by the Joker. Go for it, Cap. I'm sorry. Go for it, Dave. Together.
Yeah, I actually did like the film, but again, as the Joker, I haven't been really convinced. I still prefer the Dark Knight versions of the Joker, or even Jack Nicholson. I find was kind of really good. I mean, making Joker sympathetic kind of takes away the mystery of a little bit. But I as a standalone film, I actually liked it. Again, connecting the Batman would be a little difficult, but on David Snyder thing is that's one of the things they were hinting at is that Jared Leto is actually Jason Todd, who became Joker after, something tragic happened. There's also in the Batman Beyond movie, the animated movie, spoilers, but it came out in the 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, spoiler for a 30-year-old movie, which is awesome for the record.
So in that sense is where Batman's other Robin was not Jason Todd, was Tim, I think. Is that Tim Drake. Joker kidnapped him and infected him with the Joker virus, and also turned him into a Joker-like thing. But then he just lived a normal life for a lot of years. But then later he turned into the Joker himself, and that was the theme in the games as well. It's like the Joker, the entity as a Joker has a virus where it's like a laughing disease or something like, or insanity disease, where he can actually infect people with it. He even infected Batman in the Arkham Knight thing. And the whole game is like evolve around you trying to find a cure for that. So that was good. Would have been cool. I mean, like if Snyder, I would say the problem is they did the plot too soon. If they left it, he probably could have fixed all the plot holes that he was doing. And right now, I mean, at that time, DC had an identity. It was not that smart, but it had an identity as this dark, like edgy superhero thing. But right now, DC has zero identity. It's just a mismatch of different things, and you have no hope. We're just going to stick on.
The interest... Oh, no, go ahead, Gerald.
Oh, I was going to say, with that, there was something I read that was talking about Aquaman 2, I believe, that's supposedly coming out before the end of the year, but they don't have trailers out or anything. And
good point.
Yeah, they were specifically calling out there was some other movie that I think Warner Brothers had that they're actually pushing it to 2024, and they were speculating that it was very surprising that with Aquaman they haven't done anything, and that in theory they're sticking to it, which I think is like a late December release or something. But it sort of goes to again this: what is DC doing? It seems like they're sort of don't really have a sense of what's going on or how everything's tied together, and or just sort of like putting stuff out and letting it flail. Sort of like the Blue Beetle. I have not seen it, but it doesn't sound like it's done very well at all.
I'll be honest with the Blue Beetle. They did say it was doing terrible, but the critics really liked it, and so did the people that went to see it. I saw it. Cool. I don't think it was great, but it was very good, especially the first half. Second half kind of slowed it down, but I think overall it was good. Not very good, but a little shy of very good.
Andy, well, like, where would you rank it? Like, have you seen like Shazam and Black Adam? Is it better than Black Adam?
To me, yes. I was disappointed with Black Adam, even though I thought it was good, but I thought they could have done a lot more. But yeah, I thought it was better than Black Adam.
Yeah.
So my problem with the DC movies is that, and I've said this for years, I need to have a reason to care about the characters. And if they gave me like what they did with the Marvel movies, is like each one of the characters has like a reason for me to care about them, and then they did the big team up, which was Avengers, and then they like we're gonna continue going into more of these individual character stories, and then we'll do another team up movie, and that makes sense for me. That's one of the reasons that I'm like DC. However, the DC TV shows like the Arrowverse, all the animated series have been fantastic. Like the Batman animated series from the early 90s is still in my top 5 all-time list. I noticed that Gerald has his background is the backdrop from the intro, which I think is really awesome for the record. I need to learn how to do that on whatever streaming service we're using, but
I would say like they jumped the gun. That's definitely for sure. But the thing is that like they didn't roll up the movies as fast as well. Like after Man of Steel 2, they could have just went Batman and stuff like that, but they didn't. But they just went straight on to Batman versus Superman. But still, they could have worked. Like those two movies, even though it was not a huge success, it was still made a profit and people were excited for it, you definitely had a fan base for it. And if they just stuck to it, and even like bringing back Snyder for their HBO Max thing, if they just kept the illusion that things are gonna go at least. I mean, like I would have hated it if they just, at the end of the year we have James Gunn and now we're gonna reboot the whole thing. I would have hated it, but it would have been a good business move if they didn't even talk about James Gunn taking over this whole thing. They just make him do Suicide Squad and then make him hush hush. No one knows that he's in charge or anything or not. Just roll the Aquaman movies, the Shazam films, the Blue Beetle films. I think fans would have still cared and they could have actually made money. But then afterwards, again, it would have been much more of a hateful thing because people would have hated if they just turned to James Gunn and the whole thing was rebooted. But as a business decision, it would have been crafty and it would have been nice. Which just goes to show that, like, what are they doing? Are they business savvy doing it? No, they're not. They're being obviously stupid. And they're also creatively being idiotic as well. So,
Now, the interesting thing with James Gunn is, and I don't know if this is true, but this is something I've heard along the way, is that James Gunn, when he was working on Guardians of the Galaxy, because of plot points in there, he was the one that kind of mapped out, well, this is what we need to do in the following films for the Avengers, which if we're going to start playing with Thanos, and now obviously Thanos had already been at the end of the first Avengers film. And when they did that, they didn't know why. They were like, well, we'll put in a teaser. And it's like, okay, so we are going to use Thanos. What is this building to? And apparently James Gunn was the one that suggested, at least, where the direction of where it went for the rest of the Infinity Saga. They fired James Gunn. James Gunn obviously came back to do Guardians 3. He finished off his vision there. But he jumped ship. And compared to when you think like not DC, Marvel, they'll be like, here's the slate, and they'll show all of the logos for the upcoming Phase 4, Phase 5. James Gunn was literally just sat here like we're sat here and say, oh, and then next up we're going to have the Creature Patrol, and then we're going to have a Batman, but it's not going to be the other Batman. That's going to be Elseworlds Batman. And it was such like, they said to him, look, you need to have this presentation by 5, James. And he was like, oh, I'll write some notes. And within it buried every, like, I think there's just so much chaos where it was like Gal Gadot a few weeks ago was like, yeah, I'm going to be working on a new Wonder Woman. And then a day later, he was like, nah, she's not working on Wonder Woman. Like, we're not doing Wonder Woman. And it's like, well, what have you been telling these people? There's like, and I think one of the problems is that because the TV shows, the Arrowverse, like before that Smallville, there was always this DC TV versus DC movies divide where they didn't talk to each other. It seemed like a rivalry. You kind of had that with, like, when you think of what was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, they were like, this is meant to be a spin-off of the Avengers, and Joss Whedon created Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to be this spin-off. And oh, look, we've got Samuel L. Jackson to do a cameo. But they're like, well, we're not going to ever reference anything that's in the TV show, until Disney Plus meant that they were like, oh, yeah, we're going to have WandaVision, it's going to have the movie actors, and we're going to do Loki with Tom Hiddleston, and we're going to make it all one big cohesive thing. But before that, and what DC have never been able to overcome, is that when they did Smallville, they were like, oh, they're making Superman Returns. That's how far this goes back. And it's like, yeah, but we're going to have a different Superman. And then along the way, they announced there was going to be like Justice League Dark or Justice League whatever. And it was going to have like a different Superman and a different Batman, even though Christopher Nolan was doing stuff. And thank God that just never came to be, so that Nolan could get his stuff done and dusted. But along the way, there was like, what was the Harley Quinn film called? Birds of Prey. There was a TV show of Birds of Prey. And they were like, oh, yeah, but you're not allowed to use Batman in it. You're not allowed to use Joker in it and stuff like this. So, but we'll show one scene which alludes to Joker. And even when they did Gotham, they weren't allowed to call Joker. So it had to be wait, I was about to say Gerald. That might just be because you're here. Or whatever the character was called. And it was like someone that's like a version of a Joker, but we're not allowed to call it Joker. And they could never do anything cohesive. But it was like, but along the way, we did get a new Superman. And like I've said on the show before, we had like within the last like 2 years, we've had Ben Affleck back as Batman. We've got Michael Keaton as Batman. We've got Pattinson as Batman, and we might have had like other like in Joker. There was Little Boy Batman and stuff like this, and it's so over the top. And obviously, we had Gotham's child Batman, and it's like the audience are oversaturated with these
Also,
characters.
we had Pennyworth Batman.
Who? Oh yeah, oh my god, yeah, absolutely. And it's like, and they had the TV show Krypton, which was about Superman's grandfather or something like this. And it's like, if you've done this, it's like people are like, oh yeah, I saw the Superman thing that's on Krypton or whatever. I wasn't really into it. And then of course they don't go to see Man of Steel because they're burned out on seeing Superman already. You know, it's like, yeah, like I saw Batman, and that they saw like I thought like the guy from Twilight was Batman, and now it's this old guy. But there was in the beginning of the movie, if they watched Flash, it was like I thought that was Ben Affleck, and then it was suddenly an old guy. What's going on? It's like, you know, they need one clear vision, and then they just need to act upon it. But then with James Gunn taking over and saying like we're getting rid of Henry Cavill, and there's going to be a new Superman, but we're keeping Amanda Waller, and I want to bring John Cena back probably at some point, and maybe Harley Quinn. It's like you just need to like wipe the slate clean and start again, or stick with what you had. You can't keep having these multiple versions. It's confusing.
Just to
oh no, go on, Nick.
Just to for the DCEU, what they need to do is just do it on like Earth 50368. Is that the one that I'm thinking? The one that's the weird, that's the parallel to Earth 616. I think that's right. 56. Earth 50638. I think is the one I'm thinking about. Which is the one where Supergirl takes place on in the DC TV shows.
Ah. Okay, Cap.
So this is gonna go way back to your earlier point about Marvel and James Gunn. Is that when you said like he was the one who like gave them a mapped out how they're gonna play their cinematic universe? Apparently in Guardians 3, one thing he did not really like is that the changing of characters Gamora, which actually he did not like at all. But that's why like they actually told him not to revert her back to her old Gamora state, where like we all assumed that was going to happen in Guardians 3. That's why you said you didn't like the film because it didn't have a happy ending, especially because that love story kind of ended in pretty much tragedy. That was actually a good love story. Gamora was one of the most sympathetic characters they had in the Guardians film, and they just totally turned her character, and they didn't even give the James Gunn a chance to help him discover that, because like in the Guardians early film, is that Gamora was actually, you know, she broke away from Thanos. She's the only good person in that whole misfit bunch. She was like seeing something in Quill that no one saw, that he's actually a good person. Quill could have done that to Gamora. It's like saying, I know the true stuff. You're not this idiotic, ragey pirate version. You have a good side inside you. And they could have actually had the good, happy ending. But this is time where James Gunn lost all power with Marvel, when Marvel just said, no. Just finish your film, but keep her as it is, because, you know, we might make a TV show out of her or something.
Yeah. Okay. Now, guys, just looking at the time here, we're going to have to begin to wrap things, just because Extreme Improv Extremes in a few minutes. But let's end this on a traditional guessing game. So I'll give you each a minute to come up with to guess something. Gerald, what would you like to guess?
I'll do a movie.
Okay, so Gerald's going to have 1 minute to ask me as many yes/no questions as he can to try, and I will answer with yes or no as he tries to work out what the movie is. So let's bring up a timer, and let's see if I've got a movie, because I randomly generate these guys. They're randomly picked, and I'm going to choose whatever the first one is, no matter how good or bad it is. Oh my god, this is a good one. Ready, and your time starts now.
Sci-fi?
No.
Humor or comedy?
Not really, but there's elements of it.
Drama?
No.
Horror?
No.
Western?
No.
The 90s?
No.
2000s?
No.
80s?
No.
70s?
No.
2010s,
What?
No.
60s,
No.
50s,
No.
40s,
No.
30s.
Yes.
Wow. Holy crap.
Gerald should have went with the book.
Yeah.
10 seconds left.
Nosferatu.
No.
M.
No. That is time. Okay.
Wow.
I'm sure Nosferatu was a bit before that. Right. Cap, go.
Is it animation?
Yes.
Is it Looney Tunes?
No.
Is it Disney?
Yes.
Oh, is it Willie, the Steamboat Willie?
No. It's a movie.
It's a movie. Snow White?
Yes, it is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Well done.
Good one.
Cap, you get the point there. Okay, Cap, you do actually start the next round. What do you want to guess?
Let's torture everyone. Let's go with the book.
Okay.
You bastard.
And right.
Even I won't guess it, but I just
Okay.
like.
You're gonna get the very first book that came up, Cap, and go.
Is it a children's book?
No. Yes, it is suitable for children generally.
Has there been a movie adaptation based on that book?
No.
Oh shit! Then I'm not gonna get this. Is this fantasy?
No.
Is this World War II kind of thing?
No.
Is it sci-fi?
No.
Is it autobiography?
No.
Is it drama?
No.
It's not fantasy. It's not. Is it non-fiction?
Yes.
Shit. I mean, all the books I've read so far are fiction, dude. Is it based off a political figure?
No.
Is it based off a real person?
No. And that is time. Andy, handing it over to you. Go.
Is it based on a man?
No.
Based on a woman?
No.
Based on a girl?
No.
Based on a boy?
No.
Based on a dog?
No.
Based on an animal?
No.
Holy mackerel! Is it? Holy mac? Do you think any of us ever heard of this book?
I would hope so.
Freckle juice?
No.
Holy mackerel!
Gerald said robot when he's going up that list. I think like dog, person, robot.
Yeah. Is it Batman?
No. That is time. Nick, handing over to you.
Is it the Bible?
No, it's not. Good guess.
Yes.
Is it the Bhagavad Gita?
Is it the Quran?
No.
Am I in the right ballpark?
You're closer than any of the others, but the answer to your question is no.
Is it the Kama Sutra?
The Kama Sutra, no.
Is it the Book of Mormon?
No.
Is it a religious text?
It's not a religious text. No, it's not. No.
I was trying to ask in the most politically correct way.
The Kama Sutra is a religious text, according to you.
Sort of.
10 seconds or less. 5 seconds.
What
That
is
is
that
time. Gerald, handing over to you. Go.
Robots.
No.
No. Does it have characters in it?
No.
Is it a philosophy book?
No.
Why do you do this to us, Cap?
Just to suffer. Did Karl Marx write it?
Okay, yeah. Karl Marx, right?
No.
Is a political book?
No.
Oh no, we already did that one.
15 seconds.
I have no clue. Children-ish nonfiction.
No, it's
book
not
with no
children-ish.
characters.
Children could read this in theory.
Is it the Declaration of Independence?
That is time, guys. I'm going to tell you guys, you're going to beat yourselves up. It was the dictionary.
Oh, jeez.
Well,
That's a tough one.
I said
That
I'd
is
give
a
you the
I should
first
have
one that
asked
came up.
has a
The very
fictional
first one that
author
came up.
wrote this book?
Yeah.
I should have asked that. Like
You know,
Tolkien
there's some
technically wrote the
editions for
King.
children. There's some that probably have words children shouldn't read. Okay,
Hopefully that'll
Andy, what
teach
would you
Cap
like to
to
guess?
ever ask
We're
about
running
that
out of
again.
time. Andy, what would you like?
Comics.
Comics. Okay, and your time starts now.
Is it in the 60s?
Yes.
Is it in the 50s?
I couldn't tell you. Probably. No, probably not. Maybe. Probably 60s.
Was it ever in the movies?
Yes.
Was it DC?
No.
Was it Marvel?
Yes.
Okay, the Avengers?
No.
Spider-Man?
No.
It's too many of them to guess. Iron Man?
No.
Iron Fist?
No.
Power Man?
No.
Hulk?
No.
Doctor Strange?
No.
Bum.
60s is correct.
60s. Okay, is it Grease?
No.
Oh no, that was the 70s anyway. But is it the woman?
Oh, that is time. I'm afraid it's not. Nick, go.
Is it about mutants?
No, not mutants.
Is it Captain America?
No.
Is it Captain
Great.
Britain?
No.
Is it any type of captain?
No. Timer is frozen. I'm just gonna guesstimate. Okay, I've got on-screen timer.
That's a good guess, Gerald, but I'm not going to take it and leave that one for you.
All right.
But what the hell? Is it Fantastic Four?
Yes, it is. You gave
I
it the
gave it to
point.
Gerald, though.
Okay. So has everyone started a round?
I have not.
Okay. What would you like to start, Nick?
I would like to do a movie.
Okay, and
You
your
should try
time.
book, Nick, just for the
Your
fun of it.
time starts now.
Is it sci-fi?
No.
Actually, no. Is it live action?
No.
Is it from the 90s?
No. I
From the
just about
80s?
know. No.
From the 2000s?
Yes, I believe so.
Is it Shrek?
Yes, it is. Well done. Wow, nailed that one. With that, Nick, you have secured enough points. You're this week's Geek of the Week.
Good
Well
job.
done. Okay, very quickly, because we're just about out of time, let's find out where we can find everyone on social media, starting with Andy.
Just there's many of them, but the only one that's off my head that I can remember is Facebook, Improv at its best, improv shows and classes around the world.
Awesome. Cap.
You can find me on Swan Deeds, even though I try to smell it right now, but it couldn't. It's SWATDEEDS. Where I sing a song. What am I saying? Where I do everything, anything, and absolutely nothing. And there's a new short about Tom and Jerry, which David should definitely check it out, and you should too if you like Tom and Jerry.
Okay. Yeah, send me a link or whatever. Gerald.
Instagram right there.
Fabuloso. Nick.
Twitter? There.
Awesome.
Or X, I guess.
And for me, guys, go to youtube.com/extreme improv or youtube.com/@Geek Battle. My green screen is messing this up, but you can get the official Geek Battle t-shirt if you go to extreme.tv. Imagine if it actually looked like that and you could be invisible.
That would
I'd
be
sell
awesome.
so many of them.
But
yeah, so go to extreme.tv and you'll be able to find all of the merch like this. Okay, so with that, from me, from everyone else, stay safe, always stay extreme, live long and prosper, and ciao for now. Boom! And we are, in fact, off the air.